Hey guys, what's up, how's it going? My name is Rob and welcome back for another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing another Blossom stock portfolio review. And of course, it wouldn't be Northern Ontario if we didn't actually have some snow in the middle of, or the end of April, I should say. As you guys can see, we got a bit of a snowstorm, so I don't know what the weather's like where you guys are, but we got a big snow dump. It's almost like we're going back in time. So we had sunshine and sun, but now it's all snow again. So if you guys don't know already, these reviews I do on a regular basis. I basically pick somebody's portfolio from the community. I do a little bit of a quick deep dive and we talk about the stocks. I do an overview and I answer any questions that you guys have that you want to ask me. And if you guys want to be a part of these stock portfolio reviews, since these are from users who actually are part of the community, check out the link in the description of this video. There's a link to Blossom. You guys can sign up, you guys can grab the app, you guys can support the channel, and you guys can get your stock portfolio reviewed. So in today's video, we're actually going to be doing and reviewing the portfolio of a fellow Blossom investor. That's BD Investing. So we're going to go through his portfolio. We're going to check things out. This is going to be a fun one because this portfolio is a little bit different. So let's jump in. Let's dive inside the portfolio and let's see how it is. So if you guys want to go check out BD, he's actually has some pretty good content online. He's one of the Blossom ambassadors and I talk with him on a regular basis. He's a pretty cool, chill dude. So he has his YouTube channel here. It's BD Investing. Links will be all to all his stuff inside the description of this video if you guys want to check it out. But he does have a YouTube channel that he just started out. So a lot of content that's very similar to my stuff, with also with some option stuff and different things like that. So you guys might want to be interested in that. So check it out. He also has an Instagram account that's pretty popular. He does do a lot of cool Instagram posts, a lot of funny stuff. He's a funny dude. He does a lot of cool content like that. And again, his TikTok is also very kind of more geared towards humor and memes and different funny stuff like that. So he's got some pretty cool stuff. So definitely check him out if you guys want to see that stuff on there. So if we go to my post on Blossom where I do the portfolio reviews, BD did leave us some information here. So as you guys can see, he's 27 years old, 5 years of investing. He's looking for growth plus dividends. And the one question he asked me is, why do I invest in tech stocks? So I like tech stocks because they have a lot of growth potential, as well as they're a big holding inside the VSP, which is the S&P 500. So I kind of go with that. I think tech is also the way of the future. So that's a big reason why I do invest in tech stocks. I love them. And I think I don't go too crazy with them, but I do believe they should be a part of a portfolio as the way of the future. And the other question he asked me, or he basically says, as you know, I have a hybrid portfolio strategy. So yes, this portfolio definitely is a hybrid portfolio, and you're going to see that in today's video. BD's portfolio is definitely a good, healthy mix of all the different types of investments that you can buy. So let's do a quick little overview of BD's portfolio here, as it's quite interesting and a little bit different than some of the other portfolios that we've actually done on this channel. So the first biggest holding that BD has is Smart Sentinel's Real Estate Investment Trust. That's about 10% of his portfolio. The second holding is going to be Google, pretty normal stock there, a big tech company. We have VSP, Vanguard, S&P 500, about 6.7%, and this is the Canadian hedged version. Next up, we have HQU, which is a Beta Pro Nasdaq 100 2x daily buff ETF. That's one we're going to take a peek at today. We have DFN, which is split share corp, about 6%. So BD really is like kind of having like kind of like a hybrid portfolio, right? Like a little bit of a mix of growth, dividends, high yield, as well as some other companies here. We have Pizza. This is a cool little company. I actually don't see a lot of people invest into, so it's kind of cool to see that. We have Enbridge, pretty common gas and utility company here, an oil company in Canada. We have Airbnb, that's actually kind of cool. TransAlta Renewables, ChargePoint Holdings, Apple, Brookfield Renewable Partners, and then a lot of different smaller holdings here to make up the bottom part of his portfolio. But a big chunk of his portfolio really is in a mixture of like some more common companies like TELUS, BMO, Suncor, and then some other companies that maybe aren't like held as much by others. So it's a nice, good mixed portfolio. And of course, guys, if you guys want to look at each individual stock, you guys can do so by checking out his portfolio on Blossom. So if you guys want, you can take a quick peek at his portfolio allocation, his pie here. We can look at the all-time return, which only takes into account the growth of the stock. We can also kind of take a peek at the individual returns of all of his holdings, and it looks like BD has done actually quite well for Apple and some of the other tech stocks. Suncor, he's done pretty well for those ones. So once again, you guys can go on the app and check these out if you guys want to see his returns for his individual stocks, but keep in mind this doesn't include dividends. Before we finish up here, we'll take a quick little peek at the sector. So here's the sector allocations for BD's portfolio. So a lot of consumer discretionaries, financials, communications, a little bit of difference, a little bit of deviance away from some of the other stocks that people hold on Blossom. And we have portfolio allocation here, so we can see the stocks versus ETFs. So a lot of individual stocks inside BD's portfolio. kind of the opposite. I like to hold ETFs, but there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people like to choose their individual stocks. And then we go take a peek at the dividends. We can see it has a 6.52% annual dividend, which is pretty high. You wouldn't probably expect that looking at its portfolio, but you know, because of the companies like the split share corps, the REITs and stuff like that, they really do bump up that yield. So you guys can see you can use some of those high yield funds to kind of bump up your yield, even if you have a growth based portfolio or if you hold some growth based stocks. So this really is truly a hybrid portfolio that definitely has a little bit of everything in it. And of course, here's the dividend allocation. So we have 33 stocks that don't pay dividends and 67% stocks overall that do pay dividends. And at this point in the video, I'm just going to kind of review some of the bigger holdings inside BD's portfolio, since I think it is kind of interesting to see a portfolio that's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing here on the YouTube channel. So the first biggest holding, which comes in, I think was 10%, is Smart Centers REIT. I basically picked the top 5 holdings since BD does have a lot of stocks inside of his portfolio. It's quite a big portfolio. It's going to be a lot to manage. Now, traditionally speaking, you'd probably want your portfolio to be a little bit smaller, but it really depends on the individual. There's nothing wrong with having a large portfolio with a lot of stocks. It just depends on how much you want to manage and how easy it is for you to track. So I personally like a more simpler approach with less stocks, maybe more ETFs, but everybody's different and everybody likes to do different things. So the big thing here is we have the real estate actually as the biggest holding inside the portfolio. So BD is definitely going for the real estate gains here. So the biggest one is Smart Centers Real Estate. It's probably one of the more popular REITs in Canada. We have a 7% dividend yield, so it definitely is for probably income purposes. Now with REITs, you got to be careful because there are different taxes and stuff like that. Now this REITs, some REITs have more capital gain than others, but I think the vast majority of them are for passive income purposes. I'm not a big REITs guy. I actually don't know a lot about them other than maybe like RioCan and some of the other ones. I guess Smart Centers is one of the more popular ones too, but the REITs definitely making up the biggest chunk of the portfolio is very interesting for me, and we can see that BD definitely is a real estate guy. And you know, with the Canadian economy and the real estate going, we could see like, you know, again, I'm not an expert in this field, but we could see things going pretty good in the future if things recover, and obviously it's a booming industry here in Canada, as we all know. So the next stock here is going to be Google, pretty traditional stock, pretty basic stock, really good tech company. I like the fact that he is kind of mixing things up, and like we can really see, like I thought my portfolio was a hybrid portfolio, but DD's portfolio is definitely really focusing on having a little bit of everything in here, right? We got the REITs, we got the Google, which is the tech growth, and Google is a great stock, you know, you can't really go wrong with it. So he is kind of sprinkling in some of those more traditional stocks in with some of the maybe not so traditional stocks. Next up we have is the Vanguard S&P 500 index. So it's good to see an ETF. This was a smaller holding, I think about 6 or 7% if I remember correctly. Now this is the Canadian hedge version, so it's a little bit different than VFB. But it mostly, for the most part, is very similar. So my only thing I would recommend for BD is, and again, this is just me personally, how I do investing. I would prefer a higher ratio of ETFs, but that's just my own personal way of doing things. There's nothing wrong with having more individual stocks, and the fact that at least he does hold some ETFs is super cool. So again, really nice to see this here. It all helps to balance out the portfolio and gives you a lot of diversification. The next one we have here is the Beta Pro Nasdaq 100. This is a brand new stock for me. I've never heard of it. Looks like it is focused on a lot of growth here. If you go all time, it's up about 1,253%, and a lot of it coming over the past, I guess during 2020, the big jump up here. So it's good to see this. This is obviously, I have no idea what this is. I guess it's like an ETF of some kind. I'm not super familiar with it, but as you can see, we are getting a nice big mix of different stocks inside BD's portfolio. Next up we have is DFN, which is a Dividend 15 Split Corp. This is one of the Split Share Corp companies. I've looked at these in the past and I'm not too sure about them, but they are designed for passive income, and the vast majority of them, if you take in total gains and stuff like that, if we look at like the dividends plus the growth, some of them actually have performed well, and I personally feel like there is a place in a portfolio for them as long as you understand how they work and stuff like that. Like just like the covered calls, there is a place for them in portfolios if you understand how to use them correctly. So this is definitely jumping up the yield. So DFN is a split share corp fund, 16% dividend yield, pretty high yield. Again, probably focused on monthly income. And I know BD likes his monthly income. He likes to travel. He likes to do different things like that. I think he is trying to like tap into the kind of the same aspect I am, where it's like trying to get a lot of growth, but also trying to get some yield to, you know, enjoy your money and take advantage of things now. So that's a quick little recap of his biggest holdings inside his portfolio. Obviously, there's still a lot more there, but that's just a quick little overview. So overall, I'll share my thoughts really quickly on BD's portfolios. So overall, I like the portfolio. It's pretty solid. It is a fair bit different than my portfolio itself, as you guys have seen, I'm much more of an ETF guy. I like to do more passive investing with picking more traditional Canadian dividend stocks, while BD kind of likes to pick his own stocks. So he definitely has a lot more individual holdings. He also has a lot of holdings that are kind of a mixture between growth, dividend, covered call, even some split share funds in there as well. So he really does have a true hybrid portfolio, which is super cool. And he's got a pretty good yield. He's got like that 6 to 7% dividend yield, which is pretty crazy for his portfolio. But it's kind of interesting when you look at the way the different dividend stocks, the yield stocks, and the growth stocks come together to kind of basically make the total return of the portfolio. So it's definitely something unique that we haven't really seen on this channel yet. So it's kind of cool to look at some of the stocks and to review it. And it's also kind of cool to see the different styles of investing and how they work for everybody else. So overall, I like the portfolio. It's different from what I would do, but there's nothing wrong with that. And overall, my only tips I would probably give BD would maybe look at, some ETFs, maybe, I don't know, like that's just kind of how I am. But overall, do what works for you. And there's nothing wrong with the portfolio. I do like it. You guys just have to understand what type of portfolio it is and what's the goal of the portfolio. And overall, if you're looking for growth and dividend yield, I think this portfolio is hitting that spot perfectly. So anyways, that's my thoughts for the video. So thanks BD for sharing your thoughts. Thanks for submitting your portfolio. It was really fun to do the video. Take care, guys. Once again, if you guys want to get your portfolio reviewed on this channel, sign up to Blossom, check out the posts that I do, leave a comment, and you guys will be featured when I pick random people's portfolios to do for these weekly stock portfolio reviews. So take care, guys. Have yourself a good weekend. Stay warm, and I'll see you guys later.